Time to talk sports. Scott joins us again in the NRL, the opening round continuing.
Yeah, it is. A few more games to get to today and into tomorrow. I think it's probably fair to say over the first few games, the West Tigers have probably been the most impressive that we've seen so far, especially in terms of their attack. To cast his eye over it and give us a bit more of an expert opinion, former Origin player, now grandstand commentator Andrew Ryan is with us. Is that a fair call, Andrew, of what you've seen? It's easy to get carried away by the Tigers, but have they been the most impressive so far in round one?
Oh, I couldn't agree more with you. I think they were super last night. The Rabbitohs actually came out fast, scored the first try, but then from then on it was basically the West Tigers. And in these conditions, the amount of rain we've had in New South Wales and in particular Sydney in the last few days, they looked fast, they looked energetic, and they were quality last night. And South looked a little bit off the pace, and they did have some injuries, but that guy there, James Tedesco, he's a handful. He's a great player.
Their fullback, who's on screen at the moment, they're two young halves. Seemed like they were just able to run the show, do what they like, play a free-flowing style of footy. Is that what's going to be the key, those three, for the Tigers this year?
Yeah, they sure are. And there's been so much talk about these three, and in particular the young halves, and they get sick of being called the young halves all the time. I think they said through the pre-season they just want to get on with it and be mature now and just take control, and they certainly did that last night. And I think that was the real question mark, especially coming into this game and season. How are they going to perform in the wet, but perform regularly week in and week out, which where they have struggled over the last couple of years.
We just seen the injury to Greg Inglis. He's going for scans this morning. So for Souths, from bad to worse, perhaps, depending on what the results are. How big a loss would that be, Andrew, if Greg Inglis is out for however many weeks it is, losing him after round one?
Oh, well, we saw last night he's a significant loss straight away. You know, he's the leader of their side. He's been the fullback for a long time, and he's just so damaging. And when he's got the ball in his hands, it looked obviously a shadow of himself last night because he stayed on the field with that injury, and I was surprised that he managed to stay out there for that long. But they certainly need him on the park every week.
The Storm were the other winners last night. It was a different style of game from the try-scoring attacking style of the Tigers to a real grind in the wet, which really plays into Melbourne's hands, you would think. A 12-6 win over the Bulldogs. Why do the Storm always seem to get out of the blocks so well?
They love to throttle their opposition, don't they? And they came out absolutely flying last night. It looked like it could have been 18, 24 points there. They missed a couple of opportunities. They did score the first two tries, but then the Bulldogs recovered. They got their game back. But like you mentioned before, Melbourne love this style of game. They kick into the corners. They just try and slow you down in the ruck, just try and frustrate them. And that's what they did. They frustrated this Bulldogs side. They fought hard, but unfortunately, to only get the 6 points, they needed to score more points, obviously. But Melbourne, they just kept turning it up for each other defensively and made life very, very difficult for the Bulldogs.
It's going to be an interesting week for the Storm. We're seeing one of the injuries to Bromwich on screen at the moment. Went out of the match pretty early. Cameron Munster is on report for tripping, and there was a fight that broke out as well. Two sent to the sin bin. Sam Cassiano and also Will Chambers for the Storm. Do you think, watching that they might have any more to answer this week?
Oh, I'd be surprised, but I think that they dealt with it well. They got them off the field. 10 minutes each, I thought, was a pretty good punishment for them yesterday in the game. As far as Bromwich, look, he's the best front rower in the world for mine, and he'll be a big loss. They're talking maybe 6 weeks, but a little bit hard to tell. But in saying that, they still went on with the job last night and got it done. Dale Finucane in the middle was excellent as well. So they've got some guys, but he'll be a big loss.
The round started on Thursday. The Sharks' title defence tested straight away against the Brisbane Broncos. Was it a good Broncos or was it a bad Sharks to kickstart the season?
It's a good question. I think it was maybe a little bit of a combination of both. I think a lot of people expected the Broncos to struggle this year, and you could see they had a bit of a steeled frame of mind going into this game the other night. In saying that, the Sharks, again, they came out the first 4 or 5 minutes, they were just belting the Broncos around, but they held their composure, scored a few tries, and look, they've got some class in their side. I thought some of their young guys, their young forwards, stood up the other night for them, which has been the question mark over the off-season as well. But Sharks will be back. They're a good outfit.
Yeah, Andrew, how difficult would it be to back up after such an emotional win last year? We've seen it with other teams as well. I mean, their first ever title
Yeah.
How do you back up? Do you still have the same emotional investment in it?
Yeah, it's huge, and that's going to be the question mark. And teams are going to be coming to get the Sharks all year. They're the premiers, and we've seen it time and time again. That's what makes it so difficult for teams to go back to back and try and win the premiership again. And as you mentioned, the emotion, the 50 years, as we're seeing footage there, it was pretty impressive. You get tingles still watching that from last year. But look, they'll be there and thereabouts, but they need to expect a torrid fight every single week.
You're in the commentary box for ABC Grandstand this afternoon. The Dragons taking on the Panthers. In a word, who wins that one?
I've predicted the Panthers, but in this weather, I think it probably brings them back. So Dragons a bit more of a grinding side. So at home, who knows?
We're going to put you on the spot too. Your prediction for the year.
Oh,
Who's
prediction
gonna
for
take
the
it out?
year. Panthers.
go.
I've just doubted them, but I wasn't prepared for that.
Round one doesn't matter. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Well, Andrew,
Great.
are you having a dip since you're putting?
No, you know
on the spot?
AFL's my thing. I've got no idea in the NRL. But Panthers sounds good to me. Haven't won for a while.
Good stuff.
All right.
Thank
Andrew,
you.
Scott, thanks very much.